I have the privilege of inviting Mike to take the center stage and to share his vision for Kitchener Center. Mike, we're with you. We can't wait to hear what you have to say. And with that, I will pass it over to you.
Enemy, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Thank you, of course, also to I, the Mountain, to all three Matts, Rory, and Allison. Thanks, Roz, for moving us through this evening. Clarence, for opening us up in such a good way. Thank you, Paul, Phil, Abhijit, and Anna, for your words from across the country, for your support. Thank you to Nadim, Abi, and Joanne, from your words from our community. And again, Mike, for being a part of this, and Elizabeth as well. Et merci à vous tous qui vous êtes joints à nous ce soir pour participer à cette célébration. Last time we came together in an event like this a couple of years ago for a party of this kind, it was a bit different. I had just wrapped up a decade of community organizing, first starting Sustainable Waterloo Region, then sharing the model across the country through Green Economy Canada. And I was frustrated with the pace of progress, while also recognizing that we need policymakers to recognize the scale of the crises we face and to respond collaboratively and move past all the partisanship that seems to be getting in the way. And I felt a real sense of calling towards that. And that's part of what brought me and so many of you to Descendants on Victoria back in March of 2019. And many of you that are here tonight were there as well will remember I talked at that time about active hope. That rather than kind of crossing our fingers and hoping things might be different on election day, I invited you to join me in making it happen, knowing that that would send ripples across our community. Et vous avez été tellement nombreux, des milliers de personnes à travers notre communauté à répondre par un soutien massif. It's why together we did something very few predicted, if any. We did something incredible together, and we did it by focusing on the best of our democracy, by earning the trust of our neighbors, by knocking on tens of thousands of doors, whether it was in the nicest of days or the pouring rain, on the brutally hot days, you name it. In my case, working through 3 pairs of shoes in the process and enjoying every minute of it. Whether it's the folks that joined us to be making thousands of calls and putting up thousands of signs, in some cases painting entire streets and neighborhoods green. We listened and we learned from our neighbors, whether it was over kitchen tables or in backyards, whether it was even on social media or at people's front doors. That active hope rippled out across our community, and by election day, we saw the Green vote in Kitchener Centre increase by over 13,000 over the last election, the largest jump of any Green riding in the country. And we did it one conversation at a time. Now, since then, the concerns that we heard from our neighbors have only been made worse, whether it is looking at housing affordability as prices have gone through the roof while incomes have flatlined, leading to young couples like Dave and Meg, some good friends of mine, who I think were just outbid for the 14th time and now are considering whether they're even welcome in our community. Or a couple I met in 2019 who were precariously housed at the time on the affordable housing waitlist, and they still are, with no end in sight. Ou aussi la pollution climatique de notre pays qui continue d'augmenter malgré les avertissements clairs des scientifiques, des dirigeants autochtones et des jeunes qui nous disent que nous approchons du point de non-retour. All that made worse by staggering wealth inequality, where in this pandemic alone, billionaire wealth has gone up 40%, at a time when now upwards of 53% of Canadians are on the brink of financial insolvency. We know it doesn't have to be this way. We know that we can do better. And we know we do that one conversation at a time. Since the last election, so many of you have joined me in reaching out, in supporting those on the front lines, and putting a spotlight on the challenges and the solutions in our community. We've hosted dozens of online conversations with local experts on topics ranging from ending gender-based violence to addressing systemic and anti-Black racism, to welcoming refugees, supporting a thriving arts community, addressing the opioid epidemic, and addressing the gaps in our healthcare. Nous avons célébré d'incroyables petites entreprises et organisations communautaires qui font un travail fantastique, mais qui ont plus que jamais besoin de notre soutien. By listening, by building coalitions, and by advocating, we've been doing the job that our MP and their team should be doing. We've proposed solutions to the top priorities of our neighbors, solutions that are intersectional, that are pragmatic, and that we know from knocking on doors are widely supported across our community. Solutions like addressing housing unaffordability by advocating for policies that put homes for people first, ahead of commodities for investors, by introducing a guaranteed livable income for all and strengthening the social safety net, by listening to calls from Black, Indigenous, and racialized community members to reallocate persistent police budget increases towards upstream community services that would get at the root causes of crime. And of course, aligning our policy aspiration with climate science, centering Indigenous knowledge, and moving towards an economic mobilization at the scale of a Green New Deal. Et aussi être honnête sur la façon dont nous pourrions payer pour ces investissements importants, en mettant des milliards de dollars, mettant enfin des milliards de dollars de subventions aux combustibles fossiles, en supprimant les lacunes fiscales des entreprises et en introduisant une nouvelle imposition progressive sur les plus riches du pays. Now, we are at the precipice of bringing our priorities and solutions to Ottawa. 2 years on since that night at Descendants, this active hope has continued to ripple out across our community into a wave that's now about to crest. Now we are positioned to win, as you've heard, just as Mike in Guelph did and Elizabeth in years before that. Tout comme ce fut le cas en 2019, nous devons démontrer à nos voisins que notre campagne est digne de leur soutien. This time, though, we're not starting at the back of the pack. Instead, we can keep building on the momentum you've all been a part of. Back in 2019, I was calling hundreds of Greens to introduce myself for the first time. Now, it's been 6 months where many longtime Greens have been among the 45 people who've already made 2,000 calls across our community. Or last time when we were knocking on doors and when we would meet a supporter and ask them if they might consider taking a lawn sign. This time around, we've already been calling hundreds of supporters, hundreds of which who've now already confirmed, of course, they're in to take a lawn sign again. Or last time when we hoped we might attract the attention of the party and other ridings across the country. And now we already are hearing from volunteers across the country asking about their interest in coming in to support our campaign as well, because they know that we have a shot to win. Which brings me back to all of you and to that same invitation, which is to join this wave and help us earn this breakthrough that we're on the cusp of. Be it with your money in terms of making a financial contribution, or with your time in terms of contributing as a volunteer, be it in terms of engaging with friends and family and hosting a backyard chat so that I can hear their priorities, or letting others know you support by, again, taking a lawn sign. Thanks to you, in 2019, we proved in Kitchener and across the country that voting Green is a viable option to win in Kitchener. We know that politics as usual is not enough, that we need to do better. Et en 2019, les gens à qui nous avons parlé ont été très clairs que Kitchener Centre est prêt pour un changement. together, we can double down on our efforts. We can build on that momentum, and we can bring our community's voice to Ottawa. And we're going to do it one conversation at a time. Thank you so much for being with us. Again, I'll pass it back to Ross.
Follow the signs, come and meet me in the moonlight. 'Cause